Okay. So we have the concept of organizing or making an organization, or how to organize several groups, sections, or units in an organization. Now that you know, Nathan and Nicole, that we have viewers of this class, we really have.
Kaayos naman ako.
Let's try to fix ourselves up, because we did not expect that we have viewers of this class. I did not expect that there are viewers of this class other than the two of you. By the way, do you two spend time to watch the videos that I post online? You don't.
Isang beses, sir.
Yeah.
Isa lang.
Naggagawin na pa pala na, sir.
Good for the 907 views.
Bro, pa man din ako tawa.
So you have here organizing. What are the reasons for organizing? What is the reason behind the need to organize? It is mainly so that managers can divide the work, because there's just so much to do. There are just so many tasks to consider. And if they cannot be divided efficiently, then these many tasks can't be accomplished. How are these tasks divided? According to the nature and similarity of these activities. Managers can pool resources and increase the efforts, which lead to efficiency, and that is maximization of time, effort, and resources. Nothing has been wasted. If it's a waste of time, if it's a waste of resource, then we are not more or less giving a good promise of the kind of organization that we are creating, or the manager is trying to organize. Lastly, managers can then build continuity and synergy. They can be more or less assured that the organization can run indefinitely. At the same time, there is a working together or a harmony in the work that is harmony in the among the individuals who comprise the organization. Issues to be addressed when organizing. First, it determines what is to be done. Second, it would assign tasks. Third, it would help decide how to achieve coordination. You can also decide on a span of management. Organization also helps decide how much authority you should designate. Organization creates an organizational chart. So these are the 6 issues or 6 concerns that can be addressed when organizing is done or achieved. You're so careless. The process of organizing. What are the steps? Oh my God, there's a dog. The process of organizing. Organizing begins with aligning with company's vision and mission. It is imperative that a company should have its direction. It should try to, of course, have a clear statement of why it is even there. That's what a vision is. And in its presence, what does it aim to achieve? What are its specific goals? What does it try to meet? What are its targets? Those are the missions of the organization or company. From this, we can determine, through organization, we can determine tasks, duties, and responsibilities. We would know how to specifically carry out the goals. Who would be assigned to do them? What is the responsibility of each unit assigned to these tasks? Then we can group them into logical units and subunits. We can proceed to the process of coordinating resources, especially that we do not want to waste any resource. And then monitoring and feedback follows. It is important that feedbacking should be there, because like all other organizations, like all other activities, the end needs to be evaluated, because we want to determine if the procedures that have been done, if the people involved for it have actually contributed much for the success of the company or of the activity. Feedbacking would guide you on how to better your decisions, or not, or if not, how to change your decision to something new. The organizational structure, it is defined as a formal representation of working relationship, defining tasks by position and unit, and indicating how they will be coordinated. It is a diagram that illustrates the relation of reporting relationships, functions, departments, and divisions, even individual positions within organizations. In the context of an organizational structure, there is such a term as departmentalization. This is a process of grouping jobs into separate units, unit activities or tasks that are proposed. And we have six types of departmentalizations. You have the functional structure, the geographical structure, customer structure, product structure, the matrix structure, and a network structure. The functional structure. This is used mainly by smaller firms, offering a limited line of products because it makes efficient use of specialized resources. This method eliminates overlapping in the execution of organizational activities. So for small scale businesses or companies, there's not much of a need for a bigger organizational structure. So the functional structure, defining what can just be done, who does what immediately, is enough. Advantages, it's you have staff by experts of each function, you have easier supervision, and it's easy to coordinate activities. Then again, because there aren't so many involved yet, though we have advantages, there can still be some drawbacks behind the functional structure. First, it is difficult to get quick decisions or actions on a problem or situation. It's also difficult to monitor performance, especially among individuals. The product structure. It's grouping the activities and functions on the basis of products manufactured by the company. So now we have a company, and then depending on the nature of the products or the kinds of products produced, that's where the organizational structure will come in. Meaning, like for instance, if you are into the industry of textiles, meaning with cloths, and then there's one that's one section in the company is into the making of jeans, one section is in the making of shirts, one unit is in the making of dresses. So these are the different units which also correspond to the kind of products manufactured by the company. Advantages. Activities can be easily focused and coordinated. It enhances speed and effectiveness of decision making, and it's easy to assess performance and identify accountability or liability, especially that it is grouped according to section. I mean, if you've been assigned in the jeans section of the company, so anybody else in the section are the only ones held accountable. Everybody else in the section is the only are the would be the only persons held accountable for whatever happens there. I mean, the other units, the other sectors of the company have their businesses to attend to. Disadvantages, it focuses only on own products. I mean, the danger is you might overlook how the other sectors are also doing. It increases the administrative costs, especially that when you have several products, that would mean a different administrative head. One administrative head per kind of product. The geographical structure, it's a company or a part of it. It's when a company or a part of it is organized around the places where operations are located. And it's commonly in sales or manufacturing operations. Advantages, it offers better services at low cost because they are just near the operation where near the place where operations are located. The geographical structure places emphasis on local markets and problems, and it offers better face-to-face communication with local interests. Disadvantages, it requires more staff with general manager abilities, and top management has less control of the regional managers since they are independent. In the event that something like this is created, that a geographical structure is created, you have more or less a branch. That's where the main branch stands to be different from other branches, to where the top management will have, of course, identify someone to head each regional branch or each of these different branches. In effect, the top management loses much of a control over the other specific branches. Customer structure. If you have a product structure which is based on the product nature of products produced or manufactured, the customer structure reflects the interest of different customers. Advantages, it would encourage concentration on customers' needs. It also gives customers the feeling that they have an understanding supplier, and it develops expertise in customer handling. Disadvantages, it's difficult to coordinate operations within competing customer demands, and it requires managers and staff expert in customers' problems. So you need to have the people skills when it comes to this structure. The matrix structure, known as the multiple command system, as it focuses on two or more dimensions at the same time. Advantages, it's more efficient. There's more efficient use of resources than single hierarchy. And a matrix structure, there's a possibility that the head in one department gets to function in another department or becomes the head of another department. Flexibility and adaptability to changing environment gets to be would be practiced. But then again, despite how positive it sounds, the matrix structure still has disadvantages. It might lead to frustration and confusion from dual chain of command. I mean, there might be some conflict of how one department has been handled and how different the handling will have to be once you go to another department. Conflicts between two-sided of matrix. Okay, that's also one thing. More meetings, more discussion than action. As one person becomes a head of two important departments, more of the presence of the person will be in the meetings or discussions area rather than being able to really carry out what that exclusive or single area can supposedly do. The network structure is the last structure. This aggregates major functions into separate companies that are brokered by a small headquarter organization such as manufacturing, engineering, sales, and accounting. Advantages. There's global competitiveness. There's a workforce challenge and it reduces administrative costs. Disadvantages. There's no hands-on control and can lose an organization part where employee loyalty has weakened. Work specialization. Now that departmentalization is suggested, more or less, work specialization or the division of work or labor can be heightened, can be given emphasis. In work specialization, duties are divided into simpler, more specialized tasks. Managers and employees are assigned and perform duties based on specialization and personal expertise. This is, of course, with the hope that when your expertise falls into that particular task, again, take note, it's your expertise that puts you in that particular task. The accomplishment of the task is more or less assured. I mean, you are an expert of the task. So it follows that the pressure to accomplish the task is really there on you. You have been assigned to perform that duty, and since you are on that specialized duty, you should really be able to accomplish it. Compared to you being accepted to a company or working in a company where there's no clear direction of what area you're supposed to carry out or what work or task you're supposed to perform. Advantages of work specialization. It increases productivity. Of course, then again, it's that field of expertise where you excel. It's that field of expertise that you have been exposed to or you have gotten some training from. So by being immersed into that area, working on that area, you can be expected to be more productive. It fosters specialization. Like when you simplify tasks, it's easily understood, then completed quickly. It assigns tasks based on individual talent, interest, and position. Again, despite the good things behind work specialization, the drawbacks are there's a lower sense of control by managers, and it creates dissatisfaction and boredom, especially if the task is seen to be like a routine. Span of management. This term is also significant in the context of organizing because it presents the number of subordinates who reports directly to a given manager of supervision. Whoever are under one's supervision will have to be organized. There are people, they need to be met with organizational skills coming from a manager. That span of control will have to be clearly defined because the manager would not want to encroach over someone else's area. That span of management reminds the manager that the extent of one's authority ends as the authority of another sector's head begins. In theory, when tasks are very complex, the span of control should be relatively narrow. And in contrast, where jobs are highly standardized and routine, where complexity is low, a manager will not need to spend as much time supporting individual subordinates where the span of control may be larger. Because again, as it turns out to be a routine now, you can more or less expect that a lot of your subordinates, quite a number or more subordinates, can take part in the accomplishment of the task. Whereas for those which are considered complex, very complex tasks, it's quite a gamble to include many, much so that it just might lead to a waste of resources. Major factors influencing the span of management, the type of work. So earlier it was said that if the work is complex, then of course your span of management will not require more people. But if the task is not complex, then you can invite more people to accomplish it so as to accomplish more. Anyway, it's already become as a routine. Another factor influencing the span of management is the strength of the organization structure. You have the ability of the manager and the amount and type of communication required among the members. Let's of course highlight the ability of the manager. Even if there are very few in that span of management, even if there are many who do the same routine in that span of management, but if the manager has poor managerial skills, you can't expect the group or the sector or the unit to really perform well. It falls now into the hands of the manager to exhibit good managerial skills, to be able to draw out the best the best from the subordinates who are found in that particular sector of the company. So it was also said earlier that organizing helps create an organizational chart to where there are two types. You have a tall structure, which increases employee morale and productivity, but is more expensive, yet there are more communication problems. You also have the lean or the flat structure, where there is better communication and there's more administrative responsibility and supervisory responsibility. Here are examples. Here is a possible structure, sample structure for a tall organization and a flat organization. So it was said that in a tall structure, it might lead to communicative problems, communication problems. Look at this. As there are people, for instance, there's a mandate coming from the president. It has been relayed to the head of one department. The areas here, the tall organizations, are the two groups here represent the two areas supervised by the president. A mandate, a verbal mandate was given by the president. It reached the head of this area, which the head, and that message has been relayed to these two. And then the message was continually relayed up to this area, to where there could be some problems or changes already to information that has already been shared. Whereas in a flat organization where there aren't so many tiers, there aren't so many tiers to pass by, then messages or communicative problems may not necessarily exist. In this kind of structure, we can be reminded that there is what we consider as a chain of command. This separates, the chain of command is composed of separate lines of authority among all positions in an organization. So this is where you have to identify who follows whom or who's heading what. It has two components: the unity of command, which suggests that each person within an organization must have a clear reporting relationship to only one superior. And it has a scalar relationship, another component, which suggests that there must be a clear and unbroken line of authority that extends from the lowest to the highest position in the organization. So we are now talking about authority. What is authority? It is the right to make decisions with respect to work and assignments and to require subordinates to perform assigned tasks in accordance with the decision made. We can have a formal authority or an informal authority. Formal authority is one that is inherent in an organizational position, while an informal authority is the ability to influence others that is based on personal characteristics or skills. Meaning, you are not you don't have to exert who you are for people to understand your authority. It comes out in your characteristics. It shows with your skills that you can command authority from your subordinates. Formal authority is inherent to the title or to the position, meaning even before your membership or participation in that organization, the authority is already ascribed to that position. Authority may also be line or staff. A line authority belongs to those organizational members that are directly involved in delivering the products and services of the organization. But for those who are not directly involved in the delivery of products and services, you have a staff organization. Delegation. At some point, when running an organization or a company, it comes out to be quite expected that responsibilities are delegated. In the context of delegation, we have here a definition telling us that it is the process of transferring the authority for a specific activity or task to another member of the organization, thereby empowering that individual to accomplish the task effectively. Delegation transforms the responsibility for a specific activity or task to another member of the organization. At the same time, it really empowers the individual to accomplish the task. So please take note of these key terms. What are the steps in delegation? Of course, you begin by deciding which goals or tasks to delegate. Second, you make the assignments. After having known what activities to be delegated, you put people in these activities. And once they've already been told to work on a particular area, you are more or less also impliedly telling them that they have authority now to act on that particular area or to do the task, and that they should be held responsible and accountable. Monitoring is the last. Just because someone has been delegated to do a task does not mean that the person will be left on his or her own to perform the task. Monitoring will have to be done because as the manager, it is imperative for you to look at how well the task is being performed as it has been delegated to someone else. What are the benefits of delegation? It leads to a more involved and empowered workforce. It improved response time as a result of decisions and information not needing to be passed up and down the organization. It also leads to better decision making, and it provides opportunity for employee to develop analytical and problem solving skills. And lastly, it provides managers the opportunity to accomplish more complicated, difficult, and important tasks. Despite this, there are possible barriers of delegation. First, the manager may refrain to delegate because they are insecure about the organic value of the organization. Managers simply lack confidence in the abilities of their subordinates, and managers experience dual accountability. Let's have the second one. Confidence, I believe the first one, refrain because they are insecure, meaning they feel like the delegate might feel as though he does not deserve to be given such a task yet. The lack of confidence now is on the end of the manager, where the managers think that the team or the subordinates cannot be trusted to work on the task yet. And in effect, it puts another accountable work on the manager. So that's dual accountability. The manager is acting as a manager. That's one accountability. And then taking over a work that has not been delegated. That's another accountability. Subordinates are reluctant to accept delegation. There are just also others who are not willing to accept a delegated responsibility. Despite these barriers, we can have ways to overcome them. First, we allow our subordinates to develop their own solutions and to make mistakes. There's support and training, more support and more training provided. Also, improve communication so that one can learn to delegate effectively. We match the employee to the task, we be organized, and we communicate clearly. We transfer authority and accountability with the task. We choose the level of delegation carefully. To While we are already talking about organizing people in a company, organizing the structure of the company, centralization and decentralization of a company are terms or concepts that can be discussed in this lesson. Centralization is the process of systematically maintaining the power and authority in the hands of higher level managers, meaning authority is centralized to the higher level managers. Decentralization gives this power, assigns this power, hands over this power to middle and low managers. If you go back to the structure earlier of to the lean or tall structure of an organizational chart, centralization would be you have the president and whosoever are the immediate 2 or 3 persons below the president. Whereas in decentralization, the president relinquishes authority and power to those lower or middle managers, especially that they're the ones who are immediately carrying out the goals of the company. But of course, that is with the hope that everything else remains coordinated. There is still coordination. It is keeping organization units that interact with or influence each other in contact to share information and other things in a way that enhances accomplishment of tasks. So there you have it. Nathan and Nicole, questions?
Wala po.
Wala, sir.
Are you sure? Did you turn your cameras off while I was doing the share screen? I think you did.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Hindi, sir. Ano lang, mga seconds lang or
The
minutes.
video recording would not show your face anymore when I get this uploaded.
Sir?
What about what's going to happen to your video recording?
Sir?
What's going to happen to the video recording? Your faces are supposed to be there.
Ah?
Remember YouTube channel.
Ano ang YouTube channel?
Do you have some questions?
No, sir.
Wala po.
Did we move too fast? Did we? Nathan, Nicole, were we fast?
It's okay naman,
Yes.
sir. It's a,
Yes.
medyo, sir.
So which part in here should we continue elaborating?
Structure, no?
Yes, Nathan.
Itong structure, sir, itong tall, itong flat bitaw.
Ah, okay. Let's go back to this diagram, ha. I'll share screen to you the diagram. Wait. Are you referring to this, Nathan?
Yes po.
Okay. So you have this again. Here's the tall organizational structure, and here's the flat organizational structure. In the tall organizational structure, you'll find two groups. This is group A and this is group B. And then group A and B in the tall organization continues to break down. Where, like what has been said, one weakness of the tall organization is that communication problems might arise. Compared to a flat organization where you have here, look, and then you have the president's position, and then below the president are 6 areas with 4 persons immediately reporting to each area, such that the head of each area or department reports immediately as well to the president. Questions?
Wala na po.
If there's none, I'll now end the recording.